My name's Kate Dilworth, and I'm actually a nurse by profession. I'm a registered nurse here in British Columbia, and my background is largely in mental health and addictions. And for the past 20 years, I've had a relationship with SFU at the business school, focused largely on designing custom education for professionals, both here in Canada, and I've also done some learning and development around leadership and governance in both Mongolia and in Peru in South America. And so I've always been very passionate about learning as a vehicle to empower people. So when I was working in mental health with people with schizophrenia and their families, I always wanted them to know as much as they wanted to know, because they're the ones experiencing it day in and day out. So I've always seen learning and sharing learning as a real way to create value. I've also had an opportunity to be very entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial inside my career, building many new and unique things inside our big public healthcare system. So a chemical dependency team to deal with people experiencing substance use problems who were coming into acute care hospitals, setting up a public education system many years ago, and bringing people with lived experience to be part of sharing their experience. Just always being asked to sort of take an idea and build it out. And so I'm very drawn to improvement. I'm drawn to uncertainty and wondering, why are we doing that? Is there a way we can do it better? But I'm very aware as I go through my environment. And I think that's why I'm really drawn to innovation and entrepreneurship, because I think that's what's at the heart of it, is noticing to create some kind of new value or add value to something that's already going on. I think I'm really inspired by people who are resilient, who understand their values, who despite challenges keep going. And I'm also inspired by leadership, because I think people who step into both formal leadership positions, but also informal leadership coming from informal places, it is about taking risks, whether that's about speaking up, whether it's about trying to improve something, whether it's about trying to approach something differently. There's some risk in that. And so the courage that comes behind that, I have a lot of respect for. I have a lot of respect for people who are resilient in the face of great challenges. And I think that's probably why I was drawn to healthcare. And then within healthcare, why I was drawn to mental health. And then within mental health, why I was drawn to support people with schizophrenia, because they were really, the stigma, they were really seen as, even the system in some way kind of gave up on them a little bit. And I couldn't understand that. And I thought, no, we've got to find a better way here to help people learn to cope with their illness. So I'm very inspired by also people who speak up and do the right thing. Yeah. Well, I think probably I could speak in both my personal life and my professional life. Certainly in my professional life, the showing up with energy and curiosity and a learning frame, like a learning stance, mindset, I think it opens opportunities up for you, because I didn't go looking for jobs. I got going in the beginning of my career in adolescent psychiatry, but then other things came along, and I think people came to me and said, are you interested in this? Are you, we're thinking about this. And I think that's because they saw the learning, the curiosity, the energy, the commitment to create and carry things through. I think in my personal life, I've been a very big athlete all my life. From a young age, I played very competitive team sports. For 20 years, I played ice hockey, and then I became an endurance athlete. I've done many marathons and Ironman and these kinds of things. And I think that I've always taken opportunities for a challenge, for trying something new, not from a competitive place other than with myself, but to just learn and grow from that. And I think it's just kind of how I think. And I think a lot of the entrepreneurial mindset is really that. It's about being alive in life. I mean, it's about going through life alive and noticing. I think noticing is a big thing. And I think if you are in a noticing orientation, which is very much what the profession of nursing is, it's noticing, it's assessing people all the time when they're maybe not well. When you notice, then you see opportunities, or they come your way. And so I think not always formally looking for them, but we have to recognize that how we show up influences how others look at us, and who they might turn to when they need something accomplished or energized. They look around and they go, where are these people? And I think I was someone who was always sort of approached in that way, and still to this day, that's what still happens. But I think in my personal life as well, just being open, and then being open to take a risk a bit. There's always risk in newness. Some people like the routine of the same. I've always been liking to continue learning. I like change. I think that opportunity recognition comes first with being a bit reflective about yourself. Like when you either enjoy something or don't, take a moment to go, why didn't I enjoy that? What's going on there? What am I learning about myself as I grow through all these courses I'm taking and meeting people at university and taking advantage of opportunities? So I think opportunity recognition begins with understanding yourself. So taking advantage of opportunities for leadership development, or opportunities like you are both doing, being navigators, and how much you'll learn about yourselves. The courses are important, they're critical at university, the professions that we choose and that body of knowledge that we come to university for. But often it's the combination of the other things, the other experiences. And some areas of learning in universities create more of those opportunities. So the professional degrees like engineering, certainly as a health professional, when I was out in clinical and as a young person, going into people's lives and seeing things, I thought, wow, that's very different than the life I grew. You're constantly learning. So joining clubs, getting to know people, and know that people do care and they're supportive, taking advantage of things like LinkedIn to get to know people, but to go slow to get to know people. Those are where opportunities come from. And I think that's where students can be open to learning and not just focus on courses and marks. That's important. But I think what you'll find in life is the relationships, and those professional relationships that you get to build with faculty who are open to that, with other people at the university, or people you're meeting coming into class. I don't think I go looking for opportunities. I don't think that's how I'm so enjoying what's happening in front of me at the moment, that and with energy and just a passion for learning, that stuff just arrives and comes forward. That being said, when I am given an opportunity to build out, I am very thoughtful about that. That's when I slow down. That's when I think really hard, what could add the most value here? And I think I'd like to end by saying, you didn't ask this question, but who's been most influential, I would say, in my professional life is a colleague I had for about 5 years in the 1990s, and her name's Loyanne McQuaig, and she's passed away now. But she had schizophrenia, and I didn't work with her as a nurse. She wasn't my patient or anything. But when I was setting up the public education program, I really set a value that I'd never wanted to go and teach about mental illness without people with me who have lived it, because I haven't lived it. And so Loyanne and I did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of presentations together in the 90s for Starbucks, for libraries, for the police, for other professionals. And when we walked in together as colleagues, it was very obvious who had a mental illness. I would pick Loyanne up, she lived right by Oppenheimer Park, and we would sit there and I would teach, and then Loyanne would take the floor. And people were just, had all their opinions and their stigma looking at her, and then she'd take the floor and speak and teach. And we broke down so many barriers, and them watching us together was, and so that was at a time when a lot of people with lived experience weren't giving the opportunity to educate and to share. And I think that's an important part of entrepreneurship, is really, really understanding. And if we haven't lived that experience, we cannot, so understanding the user, understanding the customer, understanding who we're trying to create value for is absolutely critical. And so Loyanne was a really important, she was my most important colleague for a large part of my decade there. And I would say one of the most over time. You know, I'm really grateful for other people who share, and that's the other thing that I think about influencing and making change and being a change agent is, and wellness, is being with like-minded people.